Alright guys, welcome back. I'm Adam with G2 Outdoor Adventures. So today we're doing some work around the homestead, and so I thought it'd be a good idea to have a nice, cool, refreshing drink. So we're going to make some Sumac-Aid here today, so stay tuned. We'll show you guys how to do it. So it's real important you guys make sure you identify your sumac properly. There is a version of poison sumac that has like a green or white berry on it. These obviously have the cone clusters of red berries. And these do start off green, but then will turn red. And there's a lot of different types of sumac. So this particular species is actually winged sumac. And we know this because when we look at the stem here, there's actually these little itty bitty leaflets in between the leaves. And that's what makes this a winged sumac. So we're going to pick some of these berries today. And what you're looking for is you want a cluster of berries that doesn't have a lot of green on it, and you're also going to look for berries that aren't dried out. So you kind of want them in their vibrant, most juicy kind of stage. So you could crush them between your fingers and squish out that juice a little bit. So I got my bush pot here, but we're going to gather about 4 clusters of these berries, and then we'll show you the rest of our Sumac-Aid today. Also, when you guys are identifying it, on the edible sumacs, it's going to be in a cluster, and these berries are going to be on the end of the stalk. If it's poison sumac, you're not going to have this tight cone cluster. It's going to be a more spread out kind of cluster. So you could make your aid just with these berries alone, but we're going to add some more ingredients to it, kind of take it up to that next level, make it real delicious flavor of it. So like I said, guys, we're right here on the homestead. We're right in the backyard. So we got some grapes here. Athena's been growing these for the last few years. And they're done for the season, but I got a couple here left on there. Here's a nice cluster right here. But I'm going to add these grapes to our aid. Alright, so we got our other ingredients kind of ready here. So keep in mind with your sumac, if you're out in the woods, hiking, doing whatever it is you're doing, you don't have to add all these other ingredients. We're at home right now. We have the luxury of having this stuff, so we're going to add to it. But if you're out in the woods, you could take your sumac berries here, put them in your bush pot, grind them up, add some water to it, and kind of let it marinate for a little bit, strain it off, and you could drink it right there. You could also add some sugar to it, because these sumacs here, they're going to be kind of like an astringent. So when you drink it, it's going to have that sour taste, kind of like a sour apple, and it's going to make your lips and your face pucker up from that tartness of it. But we're going to add some more stuff to it and sweeten it up and make it a really good beverage. So we're going to take our watermelon, we'll chop this up a little bit, add it to our pot. So you guys could basically add whatever fruit you have available to you at the time. There's an apple tree down the road from us, so we picked some apples. So I'm going to add the apple to it. As far as like the core and the seeds go, I got those grapes in there with the stem. I got the sumac berries in there with the stem. So you could toss that core in there. You don't have to worry about it. We can filter that out later if you're worried about it. So the sumac has already kind of have that astringent pucker kind of flavor to it, but I like adding a lemon to it. The lemon has kind of a little bit different of a sourness to it. But on a hot summer day like this, between all this fruit and the lemon and that sumac, it's really just going to give you a cool, refreshing, kind of rejuvenating feeling when you drink it. And this is kind of like drinking like a lemonade. It's just going to be a lot better though. Alright, so all we're going to do now is I got my beating stick here. Basically, this is just a piece of poplar. I cut it off, trimmed it down a little bit, put a little handle on it. But now we're going to smash all this together and just kind of incorporate everything. This is going to take several minutes, so we'll come back here in a few minutes. Alright, so we got this mashed up really well. So I probably have enough here really to make 2 gallons. But today I'm going to make 1 gallon and just make sure we got a lot of vitamin C and all that good stuff in there. So we're going to transfer this material here into our 1 gallon jug, and then we'll add some water to it after that. So keep in mind, if all you had was that sumac, you could do a hot water infusion. So basically that hot water would extract more of the good stuff out of it. Being that it's so hot out here, you're not going to want to drink a hot tea like that. So you could do a cold water infusion, and when you smash it up, it's going to extract faster, and then you can let that cold water just soak with that sumac a little more. What we're going to do now is we're going to fill this gallon jug up, and we're going to put this out in the sun for about an hour, and that sun's going to warm the water up. Now if you didn't want to let this sit in the sun, you could go ahead and put this in the fridge for about 2-3 hours, and it'll start to chill, and all those flavors will incorporate together. Alright, so we let all these flavors infuse together, and you can see it. The darkness and the clarity is a lot thicker than what it was before. So I kind of like my stuff sour and tart, and I like my coffee a little bitter. Athena's the opposite, and she loves sugar. So unfortunately, she kind of won today. So we're going to put about a cup of sugar into this. And keep in mind, you guys could sweeten this as much or as little as you want. There ain't no science to this. We're just kind of guessing as far as how we're doing it. Just keep in mind, the more sumac you put in there, the more tart and astringent it's going to be. And that's actually a real good thing to have, because that's the cooling factor in there. So the more tart it is, and the more your lips pucker, the more of the cooling effect it's going to give your body. We'll mix this up a little bit, dissolve that sugar. So keep in mind, we're in the middle of August right now, and we're picking these berries straight off that bush, and we're using them. So if you want to store these berries long term, you could pick them and dry them, and each one of those berries has a pretty sizable seed for the size of the berry. But if you let those dry, you can then put them inside like a sieve, and as you roll them around, you'll tear the husk off that seed, and that husk will fall through your filter. So once you get the husk off your berry, you can put them in a mason jar with like a dry pack, and you could store those for long-term use. So obviously we're doing the Sumac-Aid, and we're trying to take some of those cooling properties and use those today. But if you dry those berries out and remove that husk, it's a great seasoning for putting on top of chicken or on fish, because it kind of aids a little bit like the lemon would, or dried lemon peels, let's say. So we're ready to filter this now. So we're just going to use a cotton bandana. Our funnel, we're going to put it in our mason jar, which I got some ice in. If you're in the kitchen, you could use one of those big steel mesh sieves and some potato cloth perhaps. This is a little trickier outside, so we're going to try to pour this off now. So thanks for joining us today as we made our Sumac-Aid. Just keep in mind, make sure you guys identify properly, use your good judgment, and what you do is your own choice. And thanks for joining us.